I'm Renee McNally, and today we're diving deep into the art of advanced placement. When it comes to IBE, the details truly make all the difference. We're going beyond the standard 1 and 2 row installs you know and love to explore strategic placements that give you more freedom and control. I'll be walking you through techniques like multiple row installs for those clients who need all the hair, Nape rows for seamless blending. This is all about pushing past the basics and thinking outside the box, customizing every install to suit your guests' needs while maintaining the integrity and longevity of their extensions. Let's get started. I wanted to start this class with the placement challenge we all will most likely face in our chair. A client who wants all the hair but comes with obstacles that might make you hesitant, like blunt bob, deep cowlick split, and the need for 3+ rows. The key to making it all work: consultation, customization, and confidence. Understanding your client's goals and assessing their natural hair will help you determine exactly where to place your rows for the best blend, movement, and wearability. For Mackenzie, we'll be doing 3 full rows plus a nape row to create full coverage. I'll show you how to customize placement for the ultimate blend while keeping her goals front and center. I'm going to get her first row in and then we'll break it down from there. Here is her first row installed. I chose this placement pretty low. Obviously, with her hair being pretty short, thick bob, she's not gonna be doing a super high pony because these would be falling down and you would see that row. So I wasn't super concerned with it being invisible on this row. What I really wanted to focus on was creating a row that was gonna be as comfortable as possible in a good placement, but as low as we could go to start breaking up some of that heavy weight line. So you can see all around, we went above her occipital. Right above it, you can see here where it goes in, and just went all the way around as far forward as we can. And this is gonna be the perfect start to building that density that she needs. Because I want this as our base and our perimeter. I don't want it so chunky and thick that I have to cut a ton into it. So this is the perfect amount for this first row to be able to start building the density that we need. And here is Mackenzie's second row placed in. This is her second full row that we placed in the middle. It's really important when you're doing 3 rows to make sure that that bottom row is placed well, that top row is placed well. So you can do one of 2 things. You can place that bottom row, then do your second, and then do your top. Or you can do your bottom row, your top row, and then the middle. I like to work my way from bottom up. So I just made sure that there was enough space in between her bottom row and this middle full row, and check the place that I wanted to put her top row, making sure that I had enough space in between to add another row in while still combating the issue of how her cowlick splits a lot for her. Here is our 2/3 row all done. You can see the angle of this is so perfect. She's not gonna have any tension, anything on it. It gives such good coverage in the back so that we can blend out her short layers on the top. And it allows for us to have a little bit lower of a row to balance out when her cowlick splits. If we had created this as a solid full row with the coverage that I need, I want our mini rows to go up in here. So you can see how steep that would have been. This would have caused a lot of tension on her hair up here. She wouldn't have had good longevity with it. She would have had to take it out much sooner than when we create it balanced by splitting it up. I'm really happy with the placement here because I know that she's going to be able to get the coverage up here and the coverage here without causing any issues with placement. We have Mackenzie's 2 full rows, her 2/3 row, and then her 1 mini. Before we get this second mini row in, I wanted to show you guys really why this makes such a huge difference. You can see here with the mini row placed up high, how much that fills in. And she literally has a little bit of a mullet if we don't get that row up high. The placement is really important when doing a big transformation like this, especially because we don't want to cut a lot of her own natural hair. So it's really fun to see the difference that these mini rows that are placed really high, what they do for your clients. Mackenzie has a nice amount of density in here and on the top, so it allows us to be able to go nice and high and far forward. Now, when you are doing these rows on a client, you want to make sure to talk about home care. It's one of the most important things. It's easy to put your hand in, forget that you have a row right here, catch it, pull it out. So just making sure that you're really going over the steps that the clients need to take and just the awareness that they need when they're having these mini rows up so high and so far forward will just keep it really safe and healthy so it lasts a long time for them. Now you can see here when I'm going up real high, you can't see that comb through. So I know that she's gonna have enough coverage just like on this side to hide that mini row but be able to go up pretty high. Because I'm not going to be going really far back and I'm gonna focus on just this area, I'm just gonna create a nice straight line. And this is going to be my checkpoint of where we ended that 2/3 row here. I'm just gonna be sure I'm measuring up and going just slightly over, not even a bead's worth, but make sure that it lines up so that there is no gap in the hair. And then they have like a hole, and then that section is gonna really show off that short blonde hair. But I love the hand-tied hair because the mustache wefts give a little more volume, which is most of the time what people are looking for when you have rows this high. One thing I really love to do when doing a mini row where I need a lot of hair to be able to layer into is to take a micro weft, because they're so easy to customize and cut, but this extra hair is gonna add a little bit more of a dimension with color and also the amount of density I need to be able to cut into the extension hair to create the layer without cutting into Mackenzie's own hair. I'm gonna get this row stitched in and then we'll see the amazing look that this 3 rows is gonna do for her, and then show how the nape row is just gonna add that final touch that's gonna make it so seamless and perfect. And you can see here, even if she did want to have her hair up in a high ponytail, there is just nothing. It is flawless, invisible, all the things that we love about IBE while still going nice and close to that hairline. Now that we have the top row that we split into 3, I want to just show you the overall picture of why we did it that way. So now you can see how close up these mini rows are to her hairline. We wanted to do as minimal cutting as possible to her natural hair, which is why we needed these rows up really high and forward. If I had tried to do a full row with this being up as high as it is, and then going and splitting way far down to get where we have that 2/3 row, it would have been a very steep row and she would have had a lot of tension and problems on those corners. So being able to create situations like this where you're being creative, essentially we did create a full row, we just split it up. So now that we have all 3 of Mackenzie's full rows in, I want to show you how you can address the nape area, which is something that a lot of people struggle with when going from really short blunt bobs to longer hair. Now you can see here, it blends pretty well, but you can see there are some areas and some short hairs that will pop out. We style it really great for our clients when they leave the chair, but we also want to make it really easy for them when they're home to be able to style it and have it blend seamlessly. I mean, you can see it blends really seamless already, but when we take this up, her whole nape area is pretty short. So I'm gonna show you how to get that nape in to just add that extra length in there to create that blend. Now that we have all of her hair clipped up and out of the way, we can really assess and check out her nape row and where we wanna place it. You always want to make sure that you are checking their bone structure, where their occipital bone lays, going underneath it and not right on it. If you go right on the occipital, that is the part that is in the back of her head sticking out the farthest. So when she lays on it, it's just gonna cause discomfort and rubbing, and you can start to have some issues with premature shedding and traction alopecia. So thinking about the bone structure of every client and their unique head shape is really important. With Mackenzie, you can see even if I went really low, you can't see this comb through it. So where I want to place the nape row on her, I have a lot of flexibility. She has quite a lot of density. So I'm going to put this nape row as low as I can so that it is balancing out this, and this hair up here is gonna be blended out in between that nape row and her row above it. And when I put this comb up, you won't be able to see it. Not that she's gonna be putting her hair up in a high pony, because obviously this hair would hang out, but it's still important to make sure that it's in and hidden. So I'm gonna stitch her row like we do traditionally, just being very conscious to not over stitch the corners, because it is a little bit more of a sensitive area, and then the sides are finer, just like when you're going in the front and you have that, just that perimeter of hair in your recession that is a little bit thinner. Okay, now we have all of the rows in. You can see how adding that nape row in just made that hair underneath just seamlessly blend. I do want to show the importance of color matching. Now we put that darker weft in that had a little bit more dimension because you want to make sure that this color of her nape matches with some of the hairs in the weft. If I were to have put a solid blonde or something super light in that nape area without that dimension that matches her own, it would stand out so much. Now I do want to show you guys a little trick on cutting and how to blend it. So I love to do this with every single row as I'm building, is taking all the rest of the rows out, working with just the one row and creating a soft blend into that. I'm going to do the same with a nape row. So this helps because you don't want there just to be long hair and then these short pieces. Creating a little bit of a soft blend and layering in the front of the hair is really gonna help when the hair is kind of coming through like this. That blend and that layer is gonna make it look super natural. I'm using a dry cutting shear. I just love them for all extension hair. I am going to measure about like where her hair starts. I'm gonna pull that away. I'm gonna start layering above. I'm not going to go super deep or heavy. I don't wanna like cut out the entire nape row and then now we just have this tiny V, but I do wanna put some soft blending into this just so that it really flows seamless. I'm a sucker for a good haircut, and it's really important when you're doing these to know how to blend it. It's one of the trickiest things to do, is to blend out a nape row or a blunt bob. And so these little tips and tricks can just really help to elevate your rows totally. So I'm just gonna keep going in with my dry cutting shear, just sliding down to add a little bit of dimension and texture so that when this is all curled and together, it's not just a long chunk and then her short hair. And like I said, I'm not gonna take a ton. I'm not gonna be going super deep or heavy with it, but just giving a little bit of a flow in this nape area will just make your blend so much better. So here it is, the final look. It is so amazing what we can do with IBE, being able to go from short blunt bobs, totally customizing this full install for her so that she has that flexibility to be able to go from short to long anytime she wants.